And he has said to us, I have blessed you so that you will be a blessing to the nations. And I have blessed you so that all the families of the earth will be blessed. And I feel that is at the heart of the least reach, which is that there are still people groups that have not experienced that blessing of God.
A very warm welcome to the Lausanne Movement podcast for those who have a passion to accelerate global mission together. I'm your host, Jason Watson, and today on the podcast, we get to hear from Dr. Mary Ho and Lisa, who are the co-catalysts for Lausanne's issue network for the least reached people. Together, they share their passion for what God is doing amongst the world for the least reached people. They share testimonies of how God is at move, reaching people with the gospel, with His grace. And we're going to hear how you can take practical steps to be involved in God's mission to the least reached. And so I want to encourage you, grab your headphones and let's dive into today's episode with Dr. Mary Ho and Lisa. Wonderful. Well, Dr. Mary Ho and Lisa, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Jason. It's good to be here.
It is a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much for this invitation.
And thank you for taking the opportunity to share with our podcast audience more about least reached people. We are sitting at the Convencia, and this is recorded in a specific time, and it's just so exciting to engage with people from all around the world. I always like beginning the podcast, but just hearing a bit about the backstory. As I've engaged with people here at the Convencia, everyone has a different passion in God's global mission, but it's that same focus. And so I would love to hear from both of you just a bit about your own backstories. How did you come to form a passion for God and a passion for His kingdom? Can we begin with you, Lisa?
Yes. I think my story starts with God. It's about His love, His amazing love for me, for us. And then I come from a very little city in Brazil. Jesus came to my life. It was such a big transformational journey. I was invited to be a part of His mission. It is really about Him, about His work, about His love. It's not really about myself. Mm-hmm. I'm so vulnerable. I acknowledge my vulnerability, but this passion came seeing His love for us. Maybe we were the least reached people, and He came. He came into our community, our houses, our table. And then it was an amazing story of knowing Him, His incarnated love among us. So it just was an invitation to join Him in all those spaces and tables around the world.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Mary, what about you? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in the nations. I grew up on 4 continents, which sounds glamorous, but it was actually really hard.
I can believe it.
By the time I went to the U.S. for university at the age of 17, my life was very, very messed up. Mm-hmm. And I was suffering from a lot of depression, and also I was suffering from an eating disorder called bulimia for about 6 years. And a group of college students, they just hounded me. So I started attending the training on basic Christianity. I was really bored. But second to the last week, before it ended, someone said, I want everyone to take 5 minutes to pray every day. And when I heard that, I thought that's what I've been looking for all these years. I didn't know that you call a relationship with God, but I thought I want to spend 5 minutes every day with God. And the next week when I gave my life to Jesus, what happened was I went back to the dormitory. And at that time, I was binging and purging excessively because of the bulimia. But I went back to my dorm and I thought, it's been a really good day. I haven't binged and purged for a day. Wow. Then it was 2 very good days, and it was a great week. It was a great month. And what happened was I was totally unchurched, and the Lord set me free and healed me without me ever asking. And I also experienced a love that I've never, ever experienced in my life. And that is why I'm passionate about his kingdom, because he set me free sovereignly. He pursued me without me looking for him. He set me free and healed me without me asking. And he transformed my life. And so I feel if he could do that for me, he can do that for the nations, for the peoples of the world.
I just love this moment where you hear stories of transformation in an individual's life. And what I love about both of your stories and how they connect for me is that you were both overwhelmed by the love and the transformation of the Spirit of God within you. And it was that transformational experience that you have now seen the need for others to share in that need and experience the saving power, not of just salvation for heaven, but salvation in terms of the sanctification process for people here on earth as well.
That's right.
Just beautiful stories of whole families coming to know Jesus and of personal healing.
Yeah.
So take me a step forward in your story. I mean, you've experienced Jesus. You realize that there's a need for others to experience Jesus in the way that you've experienced him. How do you go from that moment to being passionate about least reached peoples? We are here at Competencia, and there's thousands of believers passionate about God's mission, but not necessarily passionate about least reached. Many are, but others have other passions. How did you end up in the least reached with a passion for that?
One of the things that the Lord said to me after I started following him was, because I grew up in the nations, so he said to me, I put you as a stake in the nations. I raised you in the nations for the nations. So I knew my life is about the nations. But also, I'm originally from Taiwan. And around the 1800s, the first Protestant missionaries came. And they planted the first church that is still now making disciples. They started the first medical clinic that is now a huge hospital. They invented a written system for our Taiwanese dialect and translated the Bible that the Presbyterian Church is still using. They established the very first school that is still educating children. And so I feel like that's what the gospel did for my country when we had no Christians, and now Taiwan, we are now sending out workers to the nations. Yeah. And I feel like that's what I want for every least reached people and places to be transformed by the gospel.
I was in this little city in Brazil, and then some pastors, some brothers and sisters came our church and they started to talk about the nations, about the needs, but also about the beauty. And they talk about the richness of to serve people, of to be together with people and share God's love, God's amazing and wonderful love for the nations, and how this place can be transformed in a very deep way, not just the people, but also the culture, also the dignity. I was passionate by the dignity of people, the dignity of the gospel, because the gospel dignifies people. And this word dignity was very important for me as a girl, from my background, from my own story. It was, Jesus can be a part of my story, and I can follow him, and I can be a part of what he is doing in the nations. So it was really an amazing invitation for me. And I started to think about, I talked with my family, it was quite difficult for them to understand it at this point, but we started to talk more. And I've said to my family that I will go to study theology and psychology. And I went, and I was surrounded by people, by the community. So I really like to talk about the church as a community of healing, a community of love, not just a institution or something empty of love. So really, the church made a difference in my life. The community made a difference in my life. So I really like to ask to think about the church to be this embracing space when we can come and become one together. So the church was very important in my mission as these people who came and start to work, development work, and talking about how we can be a part of what God is doing in transforming the realities and dignifying people. So I was thinking about the people. They couldn't pray. They couldn't have the same opportunity as me. And then I said, Father, as someone came and shared with us, I would like to be part of your mission, because mission really belongs to him. And we need to acknowledge it. We just follow him. He's already going, and we go with him in this journey, humbly embracing this amazing calling to be his witness in this world.
You know, Lisa, as you were speaking, I was just reminded of Jesus' last words in Matthew, where he said, all authority on heaven and earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples and baptizing them. And then at the very end, it says, and then I will be with you always. And as you were just sharing, you know, he's already going. It's about us joining with him on that mission.
It's his mission.
It's his mission.
Can I just say something about dignity? The other thing is, I feel like wherever the gospel have gone to the least reach, Jesus has especially given dignity to women. You know, there've been so many places in the world where women did not have access to education and to a future. And wherever the gospel has pioneered to the least reach, they have provided education and welfare for women. And for that, I am so grateful.
So I would like to frame this conversation for just a moment, because I know that there are going to be many who are listening who know exactly what we're talking about when we're speaking about the least reached. But I'm aware that our audience is large and God's mission is very broad. So could you take a moment, and maybe Lisa, you could begin, to just define for us when we're talking about least reached, what are we talking about? Because we got unreached, we got least reached, we got reached peoples. On that spectrum, where do we find ourselves in this conversation? How would you define that?
I'm going to it in a very humble way. Mm-hmm. We don't like to put a label on people or a kind of category. We go in a way that we really respect people, and we really respect what God is already doing in these places. So we go to this place, join him. So, but some places, it's still people that they don't have the opportunity to listen to the gospel, or to listen to the gospel into their own language, because context is very important. We don't like just to put a label or a number. We really like to acknowledge the dignity of these people, but we like to join them. So it's in many nations and people, they didn't have yet the opportunity to listen to the gospel. But God is doing things there. Sometimes we arrive in different places and people, they are dreaming. God is already revealing himself to them. I have many stories of people say, oh, we had a dream with Jesus. Let's be together and talk about him. Let's be together and discover more about him. So we need to be very open to go and to talk and to be with these people. It's not just about to do something for them. It's really about to create deep relationship. Mission is about love. Mission is about relationship. I've been in this part of the world almost 30 years. And I feel very blessed in these remote places, in refugee camps, in different regions, seeing Jesus revealing himself and being a part of this table, discovering more about him. So the mission belongs to God, and the mission is global, and we need to cross the barriers. We need to cross the borders and go and be with these people that might not have the opportunity as we have. It's an invitation to us. We have the privilege. So we need to share this blessing with people. But we need to be open always to learn from them and to make this journey together.
So I feel very honored to sit at the table with both of you who have been serving God's kingdom for decades. And I would love to hear, as we're talking about least reached people, could you give us some examples or some stories? You mentioned one of entering into a village and they're already waiting, saying, we had a dream of Jesus, let's talk. Could you share some examples of some least reached people groups that you've encountered engaging with, maybe within your ministries?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, I think about the least reached. Zaza was mentioning earlier that church is community, and the unreached are really people who don't yet have a community of believers to fellowship together, to encourage one another, to share the good news of Jesus and the love of Jesus with their own people group. And what we want to see is to see a community of believers established among every people. And once the community of believers is established, then that group can become reached. Yeah, we just have so many examples. Several years ago, my husband and I were sitting with a Syrian refugee family, and they had nothing left. In fact, they were renting a goat pen for a home. But even though they have nothing, they still made us a feast because, they're Asian in culture, high hospitality. And so we're sitting on the floor eating, and there's this one dangling light above the food. And as we were eating, this man said, it's very strange, but every day when I'm walking, I see this man glowing in white walking in front of me, and he glows wider than this light above us. And he says, but I don't know who this man is. And I was with a long-term worker who quickly pulled up her Arabic Bible app, pulled up the story of the transformation on the Mount, and said, I know who this man glowing white is. His name is Jesus, and he loves you, and he has a plan for your life. And to me, that is why we go. Because if we have not gone, this man would never know who this man glowing in white is. But we get to show what Jesus is already working and already revealing himself, and we can say, we know who that is. His name is Jesus. He loves you. He has a plan for your life. And that is why we go to the least reached, to show up where Jesus is already working and to point to him.
It's about to be a sign, isn't it? A sign of God's kingdom.
Right.
Points always to Jesus. And then I've seen people say, I had a dream that Jesus was in the gate of my house. Mm-hmm. And then I asked, who are you? And he said, I'm Jesus.
Wow.
What are you doing here? And he said, I've been here always waiting for you.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And he said, and this lady said, Jesus, if you have been here, you know me. He said, I know your name, and I dignify you. And she said, if you know my name, you know my pain, my situation. And he said, I know your pain, but I've been your pain for you not be slave anymore of your pain. So Jesus is there, Jesus is here, but the following day, she came and said, I would like to talk more about Jesus. I know that you love Jesus, so I like to discover more about Jesus with you. So we start this table discovering Jesus together. So it's our discipleship journey. But yet, we need to be very careful sometimes, because it's not just about to do, it's about how we go. It's not just about to go, but how we go. If we go in a colonizing way, if we go in pushing people and trying to be better than them, is to have this dividing conversation, them and us. We've been talking about gaps, how we can be bridges, how we can be together, how we can really be a witness of his love. Jesus, he's been with people, walking with people, going and coming, eating. After the resurrection, he came and said, peace be with you. And the disciples, they were afraid. They tried to see, oh, we like to see the signs of the in your hands. And Jesus said, I just like to eat something. Do you have something to eat? Jesus liked the fellowship, the table. We are here around this table. So it's about tables. I like to see the signs of the in your hands. And Jesus said, I just like to eat something. Mm-hmm. Do you have something to eat? Jesus liked the fellowship, the table. We are here around this table. So it's about tables. It's about sharing.
And I was just thinking about Jesus and how he, and the Pharisees, and how they were so offended that Christ was willing to sit at the tables with those who according to them weren't worthy of his time and his attention. I would love to touch on something that both of you have spoken into very briefly, but this idea of going into a community that is not our own culture. And Lisa, you mentioned earlier the idea of colonizing and having that difference between us and them. We have to recognize that we bring our own culture. So I'm sitting here as a South African, and that means something. And the way that I'm interacting even with both of you is coming out of my South African, demeanor. And how do we, and maybe this is like, speak to a younger missionary. Today, I was talking to a younger lady, and she was keen to go into an unreached group. What can you say to her to bring an awareness to? I'm saying, I'm coming with my own cultural baggage.
What's important when we go to any culture is to realize the truth of what God said which is he has already set eternity in everyone's heart, and that he's already given clues about himself in nature and creation. So when we go to the least reach, instead of thinking, I am bringing the answer to this community, it is to go in almost like to discover, almost like a treasure hunt, and to look for ways that Jesus has already been revealing himself in that culture, in that place. It could be through creation. It could be through their songs and dance. It could be through their own stories. It could be through their metaphors and their symbols. But Jesus has been long at work in that community, and we are to show up and help confirm the ways that Jesus is already working. Wow. Like I know there's one least reach people group where the gate is a major symbol. And then we show up and say, who is the gate? Jesus is the gate. But you see, Jesus has already been working there. Yeah.
Yes, we've been saying that Lausanne is about remembering and reaffirming. Remember Jesus. I think we need always to see Jesus and his revelation, as Mary was saying. Remember Jesus is about to remember Jesus. how Jesus was. What was Jesus' attitude? Sometimes we have this package of strategies and we come bringing it to another culture. Remember Jesus. How Jesus went, how Jesus was, always with people, humbling, talking, sometimes with authority, sometimes challenging oppression and injustices. But sometimes we are reaffirming it. So I think we need to remember Jesus, to go back to the gospel, to the heart of the gospel, humbling and say, Jesus, I'm here. And it's very important to know where we are. We bring who we are. We are a part of our culture. I will be always from Brazil. I will be always with my bad and good things. So I think it's very good to acknowledge it, that we have our blind spots, we have our attitudes. We need to also to try to work in communities that people can talk to us and to help us to see things that we cannot see, and to allow people to speak into our lives. People that have maybe some more experience than us. And I think it's about to acknowledge we are who we are, but we are open to be transformed in this journey. Yes. But yet we need to remember Jesus. It's about him. He's an amazing example of love, grace. The culture is there. Our culture is there. And our culture is beautiful. Culture is beautiful. We know that there's something bad in each culture, but we need to acknowledge it and to embrace it, and yet to challenge it, because God is bigger than all of that, and he come and take us by the hand and help us to be a witness of him in these different cultures, acknowledging the beauty of the different cultures.
So I would love to give a moment to talk about the Issue Network. We're here at the Lausanne Gathering. But before we do, just one last question. I want you to think of that young lady I was speaking to earlier who wants to go to a least reach people group. She has a passion. What would you say to her? What are some helpful next steps that she can take to be able to engage in that passion that she has?
Yeah, so I think to get equipped to go cross-culturally in a way that honors other cultures, I would say to go in as a learner and to go in with a humble posture, to go in with ears to listen, and I would say to learn and listen for many years. And to discover what's in the culture. And because when you listen to their stories, when you listen to their music and dance, and that's how you find out how Jesus has already been working. And I would say to the young lady to not be the one doing all the talking, but to let the people share their heart story, their history, what they love, what they grieve about, and to build genuine friendship and relationship. Yeah.
It's so valuable.
Yes, it is that. It's about to build, and don't go alone. I think it's important. Go with your church, your community, an agency, or different kind of spaces or groups that could go with you. It's not about our faith is a community faith. God is Trinity. We can't go alone and talk, I'll be doing everything on my own. It's not about it. I think it's very important to go together. Yeah. It's very important to discern, to have a discerning community that will help you to go and will be with you through this journey of learning, observing, affirming, and honoring the culture and the local expression of faith. If it's someone there, I think we need to honor it.
I think actually the most important thing I would say to this young lady is to have a deep, deep walk with Jesus.
Yes.
And because many people go without that deep walk with the Lord, and that's when they run into problems. And because when you have that deep walk, you can go through anything and you can be guided by the Holy Spirit. I would say that is actually the number one thing I would say to her.
I completely agree. It's about Jesus. It's without him, we can do nothing. It's about to be rooted and to nurture on himself in a deep relationship with him. It's not that easy. It's a challenge. Talking is very easy, isn't it?
Yes,
it's a challenge for every single day to go back to his presence and to walk with him and to be guided by the Holy Spirit, who will always help us to do what we should do. So it's this connection to be able to build very real and genuine and incarnated relationships.
I feel like we're on a gold mine here. We could keep going for a long time, but we're going to have to begin wrapping this conversation up because I would like to honor your time. Before we do, tell me about the Issue Network. Why do you exist? What do you do? And how can people be involved that are listening? You've inspired us. We want to reach the least reached. Tell us how we can be involved.
Yeah, so the Least Reach Issue Network really goes back to, I think, God's heart, which is God's primary heart towards us is he wants to bless us. He wants to deeply bless us. And he has said to us, I have blessed you so that you will be a blessing to the nations. And I have blessed you so that all the families of the earth will be blessed. And I feel that is at the heart of the Least Reach, which is that there are still people groups that have not experienced that blessing of God and the love of Jesus Christ. And so we want to make sure that the fullness of God's blessing is seen among every people so that Jesus will be known and loved and worshipped among every people.
Yes, this network is a little expression of God's love. And we like really to invite people to be with us. We cannot do it alone.
Yes.
It's a place, a space that we invite different brothers and sisters who has a heart for these people to come and to put our small gifts together to offer it to the Lord and to the blessing of the nations. God is blessing us. The community, the church is blessing us. Let's to share this blessing with the nation and let's do it together. It's not just about to do, it's how we do it.
Yes.
Let's do it in a humble way, putting things together and doing it together, making bridges towards the nation, crossing borders together for God's glory and for the blessing of the nations.
And Lausanne has designed a QR code for the Least Reach People's Issue Network, which I'm sure will be available at the end of the podcast.
Yes, we'll add it to the show notes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so that will be the way to join us and to contact us. Yeah.
And I just want to add, this Issue Network, it's a space for us to sit around tables together with those who have the same passion. So we don't have to do it alone, to help us grow deep with the Lord, inspire us. I'm inspired just by sitting at this table with you to grow deeper and to be able to be equipped as well to go to the nations, because you've got a community of people who have done it before and are doing it still. And so I want to invite every one of you who are listening to the podcast who have a passion for this, check out the show notes and check out the Least Reach People groups. Dr. Mary Ho, thank you for your time. Lisa, thank you for your time. It's been such a joy to sit with you and to hear about your passion. It's palpable. And Blessings to both of you as you
Thank
head
you,
out to the rest of the
Jason.
week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a blessing to be here together. And I would like to acknowledge that it's a blessing to work with Mary and with all the brothers and sisters who are part of our steering committee of our group. We really like to acknowledge them as well. We are together on it. It is a blessing.
So can I just say one last thing about Least Reach Issue Network, which is we have a steering team that's represented by leaders of several major missions network. Ones that work, among the least reach, Comibam in Latin America, Vision 5-9 among Muslim people groups, Finishing the Task, GACX that wants to plant a church among every 1,000 people. So I guess what I'm saying is we represent many, many networks. So for anyone who wants to be involved in the least reach peoples, there is a wide network of resources to draw from and many others to draw from.
Well, for that, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
It's been a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.